What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the River of Money podcast. I'm your host, Burton Newcomb, where we talk all things real estate, small business. We create real estate deals and majorly massive wealth, right? And obviously, I'm your host. And today I've got my special guest with me, my boy Taylor Cox. He's a good friend of mine. We're both in Action Academy, and we recently met in Cancun. And obviously, I'm going to let him tell y'all about himself, but this dude is an absolute legend. And little backstory is me and him, we met, what was it, last month, I think? September 11th?
Just about 6 weeks ago or so.
In Cancun, we're both part of Action Academy. We're all part of the Mastermind event for Action Academy. We went to Cancun last month, and we all got to talk about, what our goals are and stuff like that. We all got to introduce ourselves to the whole group. There's 101 of us, give or take. And obviously, I plan on being a billionaire. So I was basically, in short, I was like, my name is Burton Newcomb. I own a property management company. I'm a real estate broker. I buy real estate, sell real estate, manage real estate. I own around 60 doors, and I got 3 laundromats I also own, and I plan on being a billionaire. And that really got me a lot of attention that day. It created some great conversations. And what was our second day? We ended up around lunchtime, give or take, around 1 or so, give or take. And we all went and ate lunch on the beach. It was a fucking beautiful resort. It was called the Nizook Resort. And we all went over to the beach. We ate. We started drinking a little bit. And then after we all ate for about an hour or two or whatever it was, give or take, we all ended up, well, most of us anyways, I think, ended up migrating over to the pool. And that's where me and my boy Taylor, we really hit it off. In the pool, we were drinking and talking and stuff like that, all the good stuff. And we started talking about real estate and businesses and all that stuff. And ever since then, we've been talking pretty much almost every day, right? And we even got an LOI we sent out right now on a boutique hotel located in Nevada. It's a boutique hotel, mobile home park, an apartment complex. We kind of got a bigger plan behind the mobile home park. It's really a key part of the deal, though, right? Whether or not that deal works out, I know one thing's for sure. I definitely can feel me and Taylor jumping into some business together. And the wild part is I live in Georgia. Where do you live, Taylor?
I'm in sunny San Diego. I'm in sunny San Diego, baby.
He is on the whole opposite side of the country than me. And without this mastermind group, me and him would have never met, along with all the other people we met down there and everybody else in the group that we didn't meet, right? At the resort, we just talked to online, about once or twice a week or whatever, right? And that's why, it's really important to get in the proximity of people and get in the right rooms of and network, because your whole network is your net worth, and that can really just change your life. Today's episode, we're going to be diving on into Taylor's company that he's starting. It's called Sales Psycho. He's going to use his past experiences to start building some massive wealth, some sales techniques. He can teach people how to sell. So without further ado, welcome my boy Taylor to the podcast. And he's going to tell you all about himself and what he's up to.
Yeah, man, bro, that was a cool little intro. Appreciate that one.
Well, we try to make you look good.
You're doing a good job there, bro, Mr. 60 Doors. I got to say, yeah, man, Cancun was probably one of the defining moments in terms of me kind of pulling all of this stuff together. And I remember when you were kind of going through the introduction, I just heard that twang and I said, oh man, that twang and a billionaire, I got to go see what's going on over there. And yeah, brother. So, ever since kind of Action Academy, well, I'll just kind of like digress a little bit. Yeah, my life has been centered here on the West Coast. I've probably been in communication and sales for the last 15 years of my life. Whether it was directly or indirectly. I would kind of say that professionally speaking, it kind of happened in and around COVID time. So I was in Vegas, but I was working with a master sommelier. So for your audience out there who may or may not know, a master sommelier is a wine professional to the highest elite levels. I think I looked it up recently, and there's only 279 in the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah. So Vegas has one of the highest concentrations of the sommeliers just by virtue of, what it is, all of the hotels, all of the restaurants. So we're talking kind of like some super premium upper echelon stuff. And at one point, was not it was not a misnomer or unpopular to walk up to two or three people or a group of four and have a bottle of wine or two bottles of wine and a steak on the table, or a steak ordered for the table, like even before waters get to them, and these people are already at $1,000. um so that kind of gave me my first introduction into money, and kind of the elite class of people that are available and that are actually out there, right? Like, I never came from money. I grew up, and my mom raised me, and she was working from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I was a little wild boy when I was young, and kind of got into some trouble. So I wasn't ever really kind of a part of money, or didn't even have that kind of experience until COVID. After COVID, dabbled in a little bit of real estate. Worked with some flippers, and I was head of like an acquisition department for one of the big investors in Vegas. And essentially, what we did was we sourced and sold deals. It was essentially like a wholesaler, but we had a brokerage behind our name, and we had a big fund that was able to cash close on everything. So it was kind of like a wholesaler that was legit, if you will, because everything was double closed with cash. There was no
Right.
assignments. We didn't assign anything. It wasn't this daisy chain of nonsense that kind of went around. And then after that, I found a little bit of a niche market, and I was working in timeshare exit sales. And timeshare exit sales was very, very new to me. I didn't really kind of know what was going on, and I kind of just was thrown into the fire. And they said, basically, in the very beginning, was like, whatever you got to do to say to get the sale, do it. Yeah. And that morphed pretty quick. I think I was doing the math. I was there for about 28 months, so just over 2 years. Um, and really what that looked like was, coming into a company that was doing about $30,000 in sales a month, maybe $4 or $5,000 in commission.
That's
Off
some
that.
big money right there.
Hey man, so check this out. So when I came in, they were doing 30K a month. When I left, I can't take responsibility for everything because I'm not the owner of the company, but I was within number one and number two of the sales team, with another person, and we were essentially directors. I was in charge. I trained the entire team, found them, trained them, put them on game, kind of gave them all my knowledge. And so ultimately, like, when I left that company, we left doing $1.2 million a month,
Ooh,
and
that's some
commissions were
that's some
commissions
good
were paid
numbers.
out where commissions were anywhere from 30 to 40% on that, brother.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
nice.
at the height of it, I was making 50, $60,000 a month cash in my pocket.
Ooh,
Um, and
God money.
buddy, that's surgeon doctor money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I just had this kind of feeling and like pit in my stomach that oh, this probably isn't gonna last. There's something going on here where uh it's not going to stand the test of time. And so I always knew this was like a get in, stash the acorns, get in, make the dough, find the nuts, and then stash them. And so that was part of my plan. And for I ended up leaving. The reason that we ended up actually kind of splitting ways and going apart was even though we were making 50, $60,000 at the height of it, the sale and the offer that we were working on was disingenuine, and there was a disconnection between what we were told to say and what we were marketed to say versus what was actually being done on the back end with the ops and the owner of the company. And as I kind of started growing and we started hitting those bigger months, it became apparent that, oh my goodness, this actually is not as amazing as it sounds. Because if you tell someone, hey man, you can work remote anywhere you want, you can do this for, it's a 1099 gig, you could do it when you want, and you're going to be making 40% commission, it's almost a dream job. 25, 30 hours a week, and we were pulling in, on the lower, on the lower end for part-time work was 25, 30 grand a month on 25, 30 hours a week. um but and then we were forced to kind of kick it up and put in those 40, 50 hour weeks to bring up that pay. But the thing is, brother, that like it just wasn't an honorable offer. And a lot of people, as we started getting into the back end, the back 6 to 8 months of my tenure there, we were getting a lot of calls. Work wasn't being done, and what was being said in terms of the sale was completely different from the process that these people had to go through. The way that the company was set up is that the people on the very, very front end in charge of bringing the clients into the company were independent contractors. So they had their own pitch and they were completely separate. So that allowed them to basically say whatever they wanted and lie to get the clients in. Once they were in our company, then we had to break down the truth to them and let them know that they were already lied to, not just once by the initial sales team, but multiple times by, the timeshare themselves. So by this time, people had been like stepped on like 3 or 4 times, and they just had no trust, and they were at their wits' end. I had spoken to people with cancer, and just like the thing is with these timeshares is they're set on a lifetime contract. So you go
Yeah.
into a timeshare and you're going to have a mortgage. It's maybe 15, 20 grand. You got to pay that off, but you're also in the maintenance fees forever.
Yeah, I remember I was dating a girl a long time ago, many moons ago, and her family had a timeshare. And me and her dad, like, we went to the bar, and he was like telling me about all about what he was paying for his timeshare, and I was like, dude, that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was a pretty. I want to say it's like $800 a month he was paying or something like that.
Yeah,
Which,
he must.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's real estate you never own. I mean, it was like part of a chain or whatever. So like
Uh,
they could stay wherever, like any location they want, like wherever there was one or something.
like a point
Not,
package, probably. Yeah.
yeah, but like I mean, it's not like you own. It's not like I own a condo at the beach. I can go anytime I want to. I mean, you only got a allotted amount of time you can go. So it's just kind of
You hit the nail right on the head,
scammy.
And then so essentially, that $800 a month was probably a mortgage balance that he had taken out that he didn't pay off up front. And so, they'll put a 14, 15% APR on the initial mortgage balance, and they'll run that for like 7 to 9 years. So these people paying anywhere from, they're originally contracted for 25,000 bucks, but after their 14% rate, they're ended up paying like $45,000. So they're getting hosed there. And then the other thing is the maintenance fees. Most people don't know this, but the maintenance fees are um increased year over year to match the level of inflation going on in the United States. So you could start at year one and your maintenance fees are $1,000. By year five, you're probably paying $2,000 in maintenance fees. And that's year over year over year, which is a lifetime contract you can never get out of.
That's a pile.
Yeah, and most people like started they kind of got the bug. They couldn't say no. They started collecting these things like trophies. And then the thing is 3, 4 years later, life changes, right? You either have a baby or, you had kids and now they're teenagers, or you had teenagers and everyone went, but now you're getting old, or maybe the missus his hip is hurting and you guys can't use these the same way that maybe you had the timeshare for 10 years and it was the best thing that you've ever did for your family because you were able to get the entire family together. But, now, Pop's passed away. So like, what do you do in those scenarios and situations? And the other kind of fear mongering tactic here is that their lifetime contracts. So once someone dies, the kids will get it. So if the kids aren't in a good financial aspect, then the parents feel like they're indebted to take care of it, And yeah, man, it's a
So
racket.
what happens if you don't pay? I
So
mean, like,
yeah, I mean that's kind of a good question, and I guess we can kind of totally explore that. So a lot of these other timeshare companies out there, what they do and their proprietary method in terms of getting people out of the timeshares is it is a complete facade. And so essentially what happens is they'll bring you in and they'll say, hey, listen, we started negotiations with the timeshare. Now in order to force their hand, and make this process all go quicker, we need you to stop making the payments. And as you stop making the payments, it shows the timeshare that we're not interested in playing their game. You've got legal representation now. Everything's going to be fine, which is an absolute bold-faced lie, because essentially what they're doing in the process of how they're getting this done is essentially having these people force default on. There's two things here. A, you got a mortgage, and that functions directly like real estate does, right? So what happens if you don't pay your mortgage?
yeah, they take it
Foreclosure,
and
deed
off
in
your
lieu of
credit.
foreclosure, notice trustee of sale. Like, that you're gonna burn your credit, you're gonna burn yourself for 7 years, and then the timeshare's still gonna come after you after that debt was discharged.
Really?
Yeah. So essentially, these companies, what they would do is they say, hey, listen, most of these companies were born in the credit and debt resolution space, in terms of the exit companies. Now, obviously, not getting into any names here, but essentially, what they would do is they would forcefully tell these clients strategically, don't make any payments, don't make any payments. And then what happened is these people end up going through foreclosure. And then those timeshare exit companies, they would use that and say, yeah, 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 like you need to go through foreclosure. If you didn't go through foreclosure, there'd be no way of getting out of the timeshare, which is couldn't be further from the truth. Essentially, what's going on behind closed doors is the timeshare exit companies are telling the clients, stop making your payments and you're going to default. And then the clients default. And then what they do is they use the credit and debt resolution to upsell them to fix said default.
Yeah,
Yeah. And these
that's
guys,
and
and these guys are making,
crooks.
$1 million a month doing that, lying through their teeth to the truth is the demographic are, middle to late aged Americans, anywhere from, on average, I would say 40 to 65 years old. And most of these people, I would say, total out of I was actually just kind of running some numbers. I've closed out about 850 files with timeshare exits personally. And I would say maybe 1.5 to 2% of the people that have ever had a timeshare use it the way that it should be used. Someone will have like Bonvoy points with the Bonvoy timeshare, and they'll be able to just like slide everything in between. And, that is works for them, but that's also kind of like those credit hackers that got like 25 credit cards and know how to do and spend all the time, using trading 1 point for 5 points and 5 points for 10 points and then booking the first class. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but it's also kind of the race and the rigmarole to actually get all that done. You know what I mean?
Until you run out of money.
Yeah, exactly. 1,000%. And so these things are just money pits. And then if you got two or three of them, then they start coming after your credit. Then they're debt collectors, and they start hitting your phones, and they scare people, man. So all in all, like, if you ever want to get out of your timeshare company, don't default on your loan. That is like case number one. If someone tells you to like willfully default, just understand, the differences between like what would happen if you defaulted on a home loan. You're going to be pretty seriously screwed. You know, and so then you got the maintenance fees. Once they're paid on the mortgage, then they've got maintenance fees. And if the mortgage is all paid out, there's easier ways to get out of the timeshare at that point. Um, and a lot of title companies, specific title companies, can do title transfers and get names off deeds by putting other names on. That's slightly more complicated because you got to know exactly who to call and who to do that and how to trust someone to do that. Like knowing timeshares, it's like it is it could really, really mess you up, brother. So like, what had happened after that is like, after making all that money and kind of realizing like, hey, I actually can't continue doing this anymore, and I don't have the moral fortitude to continue lying and cheating and stealing, to all of these people. I decided that I was gonna, kind of take a little hiatus, and I was traveling a little bit, and just kind of like getting my brain right, because I'm like, man, like, everything about this was perfect except for the offer. We were doing deals on the computer. I was in Mexico. Last year in 2024, I was in Mexico for like 7 months between between Mexico City and Playa del Carmen. I went to Puebla, and I kind of like to go and enjoy the how the locals. Usually, I like to go to it one city for like a month and really kind of get into it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
so then, yeah, last year, 2024, did about 7 months of traveling, was working through this time, and then, still really wasn't like fulfilled. And I knew that there was going to be like something else that would kind of work. And then, that's kind of when I was linking up with AAC. Shout out to Brian and that podcast, man. Kind of one of the reasons why you and I are doing this, because we're starting our own podcast as well. Joined AAC, and honestly, brother, I wasn't really like doing anything with it. Like I felt bad. And then after that, I was like, well, I spent all this money to get in this mastermind. I might as well go mastermind with these people. And then, that was kind of like, just chunking it up and say, fuck it, man, let's roll. And then we just went to Cancun. And then I came back from Cancun, and I've been charged ever since. And then I kind of just hit me. It's like, you know, um, Sales Psycho, that's when Sales Psycho was born. So Sales Psycho kind of, change topics a little bit here. Sales Psycho is really about the psychology of sales. And that's kind of where that name comes from. Um, when I was, my father is a doctor in psychology. And so, ever since I was young, I tell people I'm gonna use this in a verb. I don't know if it's a verb, but for the sake of the conversation, I've been psychologized ever since I was like 8 or 9 years old without really knowing it, right? Um, and my dad kind of was able to like put things out there and to allow my logic to kind of connect the dots on my own, which was brilliant because he helped me learn how to like problem solve from a very high level. And this, I think, in terms of sales, like sales is something that you innately learn from the beginning of your life. If you've been around kids, like I've got a couple of young cousins, and I was just one of them. And he was hungry, and he sat down and he threw his head back, until his parents came to his aid. And so essentially, like, he's using his emotional sales tactics as a child to sell to his parents, hey, I'm hungry, feed me, and he's throwing a temper tantrum because they're not getting to him fast enough. So I think everyone has this like bad idea of what sales is, and like, oh, you could be a sleazy salesman. But I also think that salespeople are the easiest to be sold because they know what they want. When
Yeah.
I go into something, and if I'm ready to buy it, man, I'm the easiest sale you'll ever make. But I also understand, like, you there's a certain level of like truth that you can feel in the conversation. You can feel if this is going sideways. You can feel if this is truthful just by the inflection and the tone of the person. So like, I think the psychology of sales is really wrapped around. It doesn't matter if you're doing buses, planes, trains, cars, like even insurance, right? Like the communication and the understanding of like trying to take people from where they're at to where you want them to go is kind of like the art of sales.
Yeah.
So
I got a buddy, he's a good friend of mine, and he just kind of bounces around from job to job. And I keep telling him, I'm like, man, like he's a real good talker. He's great with people. I mean, he's real good at selling himself, And I keep telling him, I'm like, man, you got to get a job in sales. I was
yeah,
like, because he don't got no college degree, and he's like, I'm not going to work nowhere for less than $22 an hour because that's what his last job was paying. And I was like, you're not going to get that kind of money, with no degree. I was like, these people don't care about your past, job working here and there, right? I was like, the only way you make that kind of money is in sales, and in sales, I mean, you can have no degree, nothing, and you can make an absolute fortune. I mean, insurance is a great racket. I mean, I know people who make three, four, $500,000 a year selling life insurance.
hmm,
Or just property and casualty alone, and then you got car sales. I got a buddy who makes 20 to 30 grand a month selling cars.
yeah.
I mean, and then real estate, obviously, I'm in real estate. I mean, you can make a lot of money. I mean, my old job was a great job, and I had to really, I mean, it was a fun job. Like we didn't really do an awful lot of work. I enjoyed the people I worked with, but like I knew my income there was limited. I got into sales, and I mean, it's unlimited, and that's the good thing about sales.
Yeah, like I was, there's a couple of statistics that I've been kind of like hovering around lately, and I just like can't get my brain off of them. And I think, within the last 2 years, the United States government has printed and shipped overseas 30 to 35 billion dollars. And
They
there's
love to spend the money. I mean, it's so simple for them
print
to spend
money,
that money.
and send it
Yeah.
away. So here's the thing. They printed 30 to 35 billion and sent it outside of our economy. So what does that mean? That means our inflation just was raised, jacked up through the roof. Now there's a bigger supply of money being traded, but we don't have access. If they put that into the United States, they could get homeless people off. The VA programs could be different. Like there would be no homeless. Everyone would be eating. There might even be a universal paycheck with that amount of money literally just going around. But the thing is, the government just shipped it outside of our network, which means, now there's an extra 30 to 35 billion dollars circulating that we don't even get a chance to put in our ecosystem. And what that means, brother, is that like the rate of inflation, I think from 2020 to 2024 was 24%. Meaning, if you had 100 grand in your bank account in 2020, in 2024, that 100 grand is less 24%. Seven,
Wow.
$76,000 is your equivalent to 100 grand 4 years ago. So it's like, the dollars purposefully being crashed. They're devaluing the currency of the dollar, and whether or not that's going into crypto or Bitcoin, like there's a lot of people out there that have their own opinions, but I'm just going to take it from a very, very, very like bird's eye view and say, okay, they ship 30 to 35 billion dollars outside the country. We're never going to see that. Inflation is going at such a high rate. Man, to be truthful, like money's fake. Like they just
Oh,
printed this out of thin air.
I mean, it's so crazy, right? I mean, getting off the gold standard when J.P. Morgan allegedly sank the Titanic, because you had John Jacob Astor on board, I mean, and he was the only one blocking the Federal Reserve, from getting off the gold standard. He owned like 40% of all the notes in America or something like that, is the rumor I heard. This could all be fake, who knows? But I mean, that's, and they're saying, JP Morgan and these other guys, they wanted to create this whole bank, and the whole banking system is just fraud, in my opinion.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
it's fractional
how
banking.
can you,
The
yeah,
bank takes in $1 and loans out 10. It literally they just like made up $9 out of nothing.
And then when they fail, the government goes in and bails them out.
Yeah, it's a big racket, and we're not a part of it.
Yeah, I mean it's just fraud in my opinion.
And the only way that I know ever in my life that you can print money, like the government, is through online sales. I've never, even in real estate, you can't, like, real estate. Yeah, I real estate is changing. But to go out and make a consistent paycheck, you know, is got to be hard, and that's why people are flexing to short-term rentals. They're flexing commercial. Like, the real estate is always changing, right? It's always changing. It's always moving. One segment's good, another segment's down, um, and there's no way that I've figured out how you can trade your time for money and get ahead of the game. That's an innate thing that I've kind of come to conclusion with, is like, if I'm going to trade my time for money, I'll always be behind, because they're printing money faster than my time. I don't have enough time. My time is finite, and the amount of money that they're printing is infinite.
Yeah.
So, you've got to either be able to use different tactics to make money. And one of the tactics that I've kind of become very proficient in is my knowledge. And if I use my knowledge to make money, now I can print money faster than I can print money for my time. My time's worth $22 an hour. If I get a deal, I could close $500 to $1,000 in profit off one deal, and that could have taken me an hour to 2 hours. Now I can go do 2 or 3 of those in a day, and now we're talking some serious life-changing money over the course of a few weeks, a few months, and a few years, kind of staying in that space, learning the skill, scaling that skill, and kind of mastering that skill, right?
That's right. Absolutely. I mean that's the way to go about it. I mean, so many people think they're going to get ahead with their job, and it's just, you're never going to get ahead with your job. I mean, you have to have outside investments, because you have to have your money working for you. I mean, whether it's real estate, stock market, I mean, whatever it is, I mean, you got to have outside money coming in.
Yeah, let's think about it like this, right? In AAC is a program and group for high income W-2 earners who are looking to exit the corporate world and gain back their time, location, and money freedom. That's essentially the premise of AAC. And AAC is a company, or it has grown into a company literally to exist, to help the highest level income earners on W-2 in America. Like, most of these people are making over $200,000 at their W-2 job. And so what other people don't understand is, like, even people who are at the upper echelon of their career, they went to, they went to undergrad. They went to undergrad, and then they went to grad school, and then they probably did anywhere from 4 to 7 to 10 years at their job, and they're still searching for time, location, and money freedom.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what our whole group is all about. I mean, there's so many people in there. When I joined, I was a little further ahead than most of the people that I like in my pod. I would say I'm probably the most independent of, because all my pod, they all have jobs, right? I mean, they got other things they're working on outside of it, but I mean, they're all still W-2, and I've been out on my own for a long, long time, since
Yeah.
2016, right? But I mean, it's just so many people are just always chasing a thing, because I mean, your job is just not what your life. I mean, most people can't just take off on a Tuesday and go to, fishing, or,
Yeah.
out on your boat, or to lunch, or whatever, because your job is holding you back. You got a boss, got to talk to you, and he's got to tell you what to fucking do all day. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's just not the way to live your life. I mean, you have to have money that works for you, because if you don't, I mean, you're never ever going to get ahead. I mean, my
Yeah.
dad, he's always told me, my grandparents were entrepreneurs. They owned a moving store. No, they owned a moving business. They owned a furniture store. And did a couple other things. They owned real property, stuff like that, right? And my grandmother had a sand company. She sold sand.
Hmm.
And so, you know, my grandparents were really, really kind of well offish, right? And my dad, I mean, my dad, he's been very successful in the normal sense. And I love my dad. I'm not talking shit about him. I'll tell him, I have told him this, you know. But I mean, you know, he's never built anything of his own. And, but because he was always scared to take that risk of, you know, I mean, it's like when I went out on my own in sales, you know, I quit my job and went out on my own doing sales, and people are like, you know, you're not going to get a, you know, what if, you know, you have a mortgage on the house and you got a car and you got a dog, and I mean, you got power bills and you got to buy food and other shit, right? Luxury items, you know, I mean, and they're like, you know, what's going to happen if, you know, you fail? And I was like, well, then I'll just go get a normal job. And when you think about it like that, you know, my worst case scenario is the normal person's everyday scenario.
Ain't
And
that the
with my
truth?
dad, he always told me, you know, I'll never be able to give you what my father gave me, because my grandparents had, you know, a lot of free time and they were able to travel. Like my dad grew up, he's been all over Germany, Alaska, Europe. I mean, fucking all over the place, right? Um, I've only been out of the country 2 times. Been, yeah, so 2 times, I think. I mean, it's just kind of a real life scenario where you have to take a risk to get ahead in life, you know?
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. So I kind of, kind of talking about risks, like, ever since I left the timeshare, and that was probably uh, end of 2024. So it's probably been about 12 to 15 months that, like, I haven't been working. And, as good as it sounds and amazing as it sounds, it's also slightly, massively anxiety provoking, because, like, I have been living on my savings. But the thing is like, I made some money. I sold, all of my stuff that I had in Nevada when I came to San Diego. And the thing is like, I had a decent chunk of money, and I kept telling myself, look, man, you could sink this money into one project, and then what? You're gonna kind of be in a position where you're gonna be
Broke
cash forward.
again.
You got one project, and, like, as cool as that sounds, it's like I felt like, if I could take this money and invest it into myself, double down on Taylor, double down on what Taylor knows, that we could grow this money and we could 5x it. And like, what a risk, man. I've joined 3 masterminds probably in the last 3 to 4 months, and almost paid out like 80 grand cash to kind of do it. But the proximity and the level that my brain has changed is almost unmatchable. You can't even map it. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was 90 to 120 days ago. And that risk is also kind of fueling me to kind of get back to what I know, which is like building sales teams and crushing deals. So that's kind of where Sales Psycho comes and is born from. So, like, you know, we're building right now. Sales Psycho is essentially what it is a training. This gives you the art and the finesse, as well as the tactical skills and trainings that are necessary to understand the psychological flow of a sales call, where your client's at, where they need to go, and what you need to do to kind of bridge the gap. And as a skill, with enough reps, you can get pretty proficient in it, right? And so essentially what we're going to be doing is we're creating a program. We're going to teach people, the art of these high ticket sales. And then through that process, we're going to, take the creme of the crop, the creme de la creme, if you will. And we're going to give them a chance to actually work on some of the high ticket offers that we are closing right now. So, if you come into Sales Psycho and you hit the ground running, and you can figure out how to change your mindset, and you can change your mindset from working for someone to figuring out how to work for yourself, then you show the exemplary qualities that are necessary to get there. and you stay proficient the entire time, you could literally walk into a job where you have the ability to create and print your own money, not out of thin air, but using your knowledge to do it. And it's not impossible to make $500 to $1,000 on a sale. You just got to learn the skills to do it, and so like those people out there, that may be watching, and they're making, 20, 25. Um, Even let's just kind of take some round numbers. I mean, even if someone's making $1,500 on a paycheck, over 2 weeks, that's 80 hours. Um, you're telling me you can't do 3 deals to cover that paycheck from the comfort of your home if you learn some skills, and then, I mean, we were closing 3 or 4 or 5 deals a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's I mean, and that's kind of what I like about sales. I mean, you get to set your own targets, and my life's changed dramatically because I'm not really selling as much real estate as I was a few years ago. Now I just manage a lot of real estate, and I work with investors, which is what I really enjoy more of,
Yeah.
and I was telling you yesterday, I'm trying to list all my stuff because I'm trying to buy an apartment complex. I'm a 1031 into, which is my long-term plan. I mean, I plan on owning a lot of doors. I don't want to be a real estate broker forever, right? But I mean, and that's kind of part of it. I mean, you got to constantly be evolving.
Yeah, you got to push yourself to the next level. You know what I mean? Like, would you even if you hadn't joined Action Academy and you haven't heard, Ben Call going into triple net lease and a commercial property and trying to close 7 million before the end of the year in the next like 60, 70 days, like, would you even thought about that it would be possible to buy an apartment complex?
Well, I mean, I got a buddy named Millen. I mean, he's a real goat when it comes to real estate. But the thing is, I can sure I can call him anytime I want. But the thing I like about Ben or Nate or any of these other people in the group, I mean, there's so many of us and there's so many different categories. Anytime you got a question, you can find somebody who's been in that area.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. I mean, we got people in there in real estate, we got people in there who flip land, we got people in there who own all these different businesses, we got people who buy all these different businesses, we got people who do all sorts of land flipping. I mean, they do all sorts of stuff, and that's just stuff you would never even have thought of. I mean, a lot of the people, a lot of the newer people that I've talked to who come in, they're like, oh, I got a duplex or something like that, but it's so hard to scale. And it's like they're like, I want to get into SBA, small business acquisitions, right? And it's like because you can buy one company, and replace 6 figures a year, real simply.
Right.
I mean, look at Brian's got 4 different companies now cleaning hoods. I mean, these are things that got to get done all the time, or air conditioning, plumbing, or whatever. People buy dentist practices, right? I mean, teeth got to get cleaned. I mean, that's the things you got to do. Termite, pest control, things like that. And those are the businesses that got to be around, But I mean, when we were in Cancun, when Brandon Turner, I got to talk to him privately some when he got done talking the next day because I don't know if he stayed at the resort with us or not, but I know he was in the room with us the next day before he flew out, and he was at breakfast too, so I got to talk to him some privately one-on-one, and I was like, here's where I'm at in life. I was like, I got a build to rent subdivision, and I really want to start, raising some more capital. I've already got a syndication, but I want to get in the debt fund structure and all that. I was like, how can I do all that? And he was like, you got to get more active on social media. That's why I've tried to start. I've never really messed with Instagram, but dude, I'm getting over 1,000 hits a day on Instagram. And I've never even really looked at it until I got back and I started, diving more into social media, and I started this podcast right before we went to Cancun. I was posting like one a day, but I got to start probably knocking back like one a week maybe, but because I just got a lot of things going on in life. But when he was talking about the bridges, I mean, and he was talking about how he had 50 doors, he had 50 single family homes, but he sold all that and moved to Maui, bought one apartment complex, and that replaced all his income. And I mean, that's game changing right there. And then he talked about the bridges. He's like, you wanted to buy real estate, going on business, you want to do all this. He's like, you don't want bridges going to nowhere though. He's like, so You need to do one thing really well, which is, I got laundromats, and I told you, I mean, I love my laundromats. I mean, they do real well. It's really an
They also give you
essential
some good
job.
content too, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, I really and truly, I want to sell my laundromats. I want to sell all my single family properties, my duplexes, and I want to put that into just one apartment complex. And had I gone to Cancun, and heard him talk about that, I don't know if I would have ever thought about it. Another thing I really picked up at Cancun, me and you've talked a whole lot about is, I mean, hotels. Honestly, I've never even thought about getting in the hotel space, but when Rich Summers was up there talking, about the hotel deals he's doing, I mean, that dude's crushing some fucking numbers, and I was like,
Dude's
man,
fucking doubling the fucking hotel price by forced appreciation in a
yeah.
fucking 18 to 24 months.
I mean, he's buying these hotels for like $1 million or $2, and they're worth a couple $1,000,000. And then, I mean, he's buying a place in Tulum. I mean, the thing is, he can buy these hotels in these resort towns, and he can go stay at these hotels anytime he wants to.
Rich just bought
I
a
mean,
freaking yacht, bro. He just bought
yeah,
a
the
yacht.
dude's got yachts. So I've been listening to his podcast for a long time. The dude's got like yachts, and I think he's got a jet. I know he charters jets all the time, but he don't own one. And then he's got I know he's got like Lamborghinis and stuff. He's got a bunch of supercars.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think he picked
I think
up a
he's got
McLaren.
yeah, I think he's got like 7, 8, 9 supercars. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you fucking do it, dude. And you know what pisses me off about it though, and I can tell you other people that, I mean, dude, he got started in like 2016, 2017. And the thing about it is, that's the same fucking time I got started. It was 2016. Here I am. I mean, I got a couple $1,000,000 worth of real estate, but like, fuck, dude. I mean, that dude's got Lamborghinis, dude. I can't even afford an oil change on Lamborghini.
Yeah, man. One of the guys that I linked up with, they fucking tire got fucked up, and it fucked up the alignment. And from a fucking tire on a Lambo with the tire and the alignment was like 12 grand.
I heard an oil change on a Lamborghini is like 15 grand. I don't know if that's true because I don't own a Lamborghini, but I do. That's just what I heard. And I got a buddy he's not my buddy. I know a guy in town who he's got a Lamborghini and he's got a McLaren, and like he drives his cars same way I would drive. Like some of these people, they buy these cars to like look at them, put them in their fucking garage, and drive them on like special date nights and stuff. This dude, he drives his car the same fucking way I would. Those things are his daily drivers. He'll drive that thing all over town, to restaurants, post office, every fucking where. And I mean, that's how. I mean, he gets his money worth out of that car, out of those cars. I think he's got a Tesla too, but I mean, and I'm sure he's got a badass house and stuff too. But I mean, that's how you do it.
That's, man. I mean, can you think about like, all right, so you got, I think one of the numbers from Rich's Hotel was 1.75 purchase, and then it was refied for 4.05 mil or something like that. Like, what?
I mean, that's how you fucking do it. I mean,
That's some
some of those
big
numbers.
boss daddy shit right there.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, you got to level up. I mean, it's kind of like I was telling you yesterday, these single family doors. I mean, I've done real well with them. I got, around, in just one company alone, we got around $990,000 of equity. So just call it $1,000,000 or 900, whatever you want to call it, right? But I mean, shit, we can't afford I ain't got a fucking Lamborghini. And so we could keep buying these houses, these older houses, fix them up, rehab them, doing the Bird method. Or we could start buying these apartment complexes in Tallahassee, Atlanta, these bigger cities, in red states, preferably, not California. No hate on you, but California sucks. I mean, and I mean, you can do some real forced. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, this one apartment complex I looked at, we could buy 4.3. We could raise the rent. We could change some paint. We could update it, some with some LVP and some granite countertops, and it'd be worth $6-7 million. I mean, We're walking in the door, spending, let's call it 900 grand or whatever, and we're gonna make $1.5 million, $2 million. How do you can't? It's hard to do that with these single family homes, and that's what I really picked up from Brandon. I mean, I love talking to him, dude. I mean, I
Man,
mean,
can you imagine? I think he's got 14,000 units under contract
the
or
dude
under
has
that he
a
owns.
$1 billion worth of real estate, a
Yeah.
billion freaking dollars worth of real estate. And I mean, that's how you do it. I mean, he went from 50, 60 doors to $1 billion of real estate in like no time, and that's how you got to scale up always. You got to always be
So
scaling up.
one of the books I'm reading right now is called Transurfing Reality, and it's by Vadim Zeland. Have you heard of it?
I hadn't heard of it. I
All
knock
right.
out about a book a week. I'll have to add that to my list.
Yeah. You got to put it on the list. And one of the only reasons I know about it is because my ex was from Russia. And Vadim Zeland, obviously the name, is very Eastern European. I don't know if it's Ukrainian. I don't know exactly where it falls between Ukraine and Russia or what land it is, right? But it's like old school Rus. Anyway, ultimately what the premise is that like there is an infinite number of realities and possibilities that are available to you. It's just about the level of frequency that you're currently attached and attuned to, so you change your level of your frequency and then you change your reality. And if that couldn't be more kind of true in terms of like what we've been experiencing, you know if you didn't talk to Brandon Turner and you didn't have someone who had been doing it, changing your reality and your frequency and thinking like, oh man, I could go in and turn 900 G's into 1.9 or maybe 200 G's in the matter of 12, 18, 24 months, like you wouldn't have not been thinking about it. And you may just been trying to go add four, 5, 10 more doors to the list by, this time next year, right?
That's right. Whereas I could add 40 doors or something like that. I mean, and that's what I love about these meetups and these conversations. Because you get so much knowledge. That's why people got to get in rooms with people bigger than them.
That's it. And to be honest with you, I got to kind of say something here. And it's also kind of an homage to selling, but also being sold. It's like when you're placed in a situation where you're uncomfortable, that's when the most growth has ever happened. When you're in a sales pitch and someone wants 10 G's from you and you're like, fuck, 10 grand. And you're like, oh, and then they keep talking to you and you're uncomfortable and like you slowly give the credit card, but like you've got buyer's remorse. It's like, what I've realized is that millionaires take action. They've got action. They take action. They see something, they do it, they take action. They don't hum, they don't haw, and placing yourself in these positions, whether intentionally or unintentionally, that's when the growth happens. So if you find
Yeah.
yourself in a position where you need to do it inside of you and it's here, but you're thinking to yourself, oh, fuck, maybe I shouldn't do it. It's like, nah, you need to do it because it aligns with you on the inside. And here, your brain is trying to talk you out of it. And then as soon as you kind of follow, that initial hunch from the inside, you start to realize like, holy shit, like this is actually fucking possible and I can actually do this. And like, but but the thing is like you need that $10,000 on the line to believe in what you're doing and push with intensity. Otherwise, if it was just given to you for free, you wouldn't have even opened the book. Let's just be honest. If someone gave you the blueprint
100%.
to be a millionaire and they gave it to you for free, you wouldn't even open the book. But if you paid $10,000, you'd fucking read every line.
You got
You'd
to read
highlight
every page 5 times.
highlighter, color coded, notes like and that's the difference and that's the difference and that's where the growth happens are in those uncomfortable moments, you know what I mean? So those
Yeah.
people that say, oh, I don't want to be sold, it's like, nah, you don't want to grow. you
You're
don't want to
always
you don't
being
want to put
sold.
yourself in a position to grow.
No matter what, I mean, you're going to be sold no matter what. I mean, whether you go to the grocery store and, get a pack of meat or something, I mean, you're always being sold. I mean, everything is fucking sales.
Correct.
I mean, it stocks. I mean, your 401k. I mean, you got, I mean, I don't have a 401k because I'm invested in other avenues, right? But I mean, the average person is sold that you have to have a 401k. In a lot of sense, you do, but I mean, it's just people are always being fucking sold to, no matter what they do in life.
Yeah,
You
you're
know?
either conscious of it or you're just unconscious of being sold and marketed to. Like the reason most people go eat McDonald's is because they see it everywhere, right? Like you've got this subliminal like implementation on your subconscious that makes you think like, oh, this is something that we need to go get doing. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. I mean, it's you have to, you know. And so, tell us a little bit more about how you're going to build out sales psycho and all that.
Yeah,
Did
so
you draw
Sales
that out yet?
Psycho, yeah, so Sales Psycho is going to be more of it's a two-part gig. First part, what we're doing is it is going to be it's an online course, but it's not just a course to kind of take your money and put you in a fucking position where you're not going to get anything out of it. What it does and the way that it's designed is it's going to bring you into the system. It's going to teach you the mindset of what is possible and how to kind of get yourself to believing that you can actually replace your income by working online. And once that mindset training has been instilled, then we're going to start going into some of the practical kind of knowledge and skills, objection handling, discovery, framing phone calls from a position of power rather than trying to backtrack and reframe from objections. And then ultimately, once you can show that you're an exemplary specimen and you have all of the skills to be able to frame phone calls and put yourself in a position where there are no objections because you frame the call so well. um then what we're going to do is we're going to put you on a couple high ticket offers, and then you're going to have the chance to actually make that money. So you come into Sales Psycho, you learn the skills. It's going to be like a fast track like college per se, at a fourth of the cost. You have the ability to come in. You can study for, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to learn to really, really get proficient. Once you're proficient in these skills, then you get the chance to go work from anywhere. You just got to show up and you got to hold yourself accountable. But man, like we're going to start getting back into those $100,000 months, and commissions are anywhere from 20 to 30%. So you're doing $2,000-3,000 a deal, $5,000 a deal. Profits are 1,000 1,500 bucks. You start stacking those up month over month, and now we've got a sales team that's doing $400,000 or $500,000 on 3 or 4 different offers. And the really cool thing about it is we're not selling shit. We're not fucking people over. We're not telling them something that's not true. Um, right now we've got a couple offers that we're working on, for permit expedition and ADUs. That's a real offer. Those are real people that you can get on the phone and call, build a relationship with, and get reoccurring sales and deals. And those sales are $7,000 to $20,000 a pop. And the thing is like people need it. You got new builders, people putting in ADUs. They need permits. They need the actual ADUs, and we're just the person that's kind of lining it up, and all of this is usually like a corporate paycheck. So if a builder is taking that, they're just going to pass on the cost to the mortgagee, and they're going to leverage that over 30 years by tying it into their note. So a lot of these services are actually very beneficial, where it's not just a course where like you come in and your money's taken and then there's nothing after that. Like you got to be able to be proficient in the skills, and once you can prove you're proficient in the skills, then you're going to get the chance to actually sit on some of these high ticket offers and make your own deals.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yes, sir.
And so, you got a website up and running yet?
Yeah.
Build
Salespsycho.co.
salespsycho.co. So if y'all want to know all about the website, you can definitely find it on there on salespsycho.co. And what
Um,
about if people want to reach out to you? How do people reach out to you?
yeah. So Instagram's a really good spot. That's Taylor Cox CEO. We're also going to be launching a podcast here. So stay tuned for the pod. That'll be probably coming out in the next week or so. And then I'll take personal referrals, but we'll just keep that number between you and I. If you're out there and you see this and you want to learn a little bit about sales cycle, hit me up on Instagram, Taylor Cox CEO. We'll go through, we'll get you on a webinar, we'll kind of explain the process, we'll give you an outline of what to expect, the timetable behind it. And, there's definitely a possibility, man. If you're 18, 20, 25, 30, 35, you don't have a direction, you don't know what you want to do, but you got a nice mouthpiece on you, learn a skill and use that skill and your knowledge to go print fake money, man. I just can't say it enough. Like I'm saying it, my dad was a doctor, and he's a doctor in psychology, and he's still tied to punching a clock, and he's 65 years old. And that's going to be his life, and he's never going to change that. But, youngins, man, it's like there's young people out there who don't have the confidence, and like earning the money and earning the deals and getting the deals and getting the wins, that innately gives you the confidence to get out of your parents' house, to ask that girl out that you've been wanting to talk to go buy that car that you want, and that's how we're going to give back, brother. We're going to teach people the skills of high ticket sales, and then by my relationships, and by all of the things that I've been able to kind of create, we're going to make some high ticket offers, and we're going to have a few of these offers for people to kind of sell. And nothing's given. There is risk. But, if in your heart that you can sit down on a computer and you can focus and you can speak to people and you can communicate something clearly, then you can make sales online, and you can change your income. You can change your life. 3 deals replaces your current, paycheck at $1,500 to $2,000.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to tell the people?
Hey, brother, I'm stoked to kind of come on the pod. We're definitely gonna have to have you on, and show a little reciprocation. If you're out in San Diego, hit me up, Bert. You got to get out here, brother. It's
Yeah, I'm gonna come out there. I'm gonna come out there and hang out with y'all, man. I mean, I
yeah.
know we got a couple of people out there. Let's see, who all's in California? I know there's you. There's Callie from Cali, and then
I think there's 8 people in the
yeah,
SoCal chapter that are going to be meeting on Saturday. So we got a nice little SoCal chapter meetup scheduled for Saturday. I think there's 8 or 9 from AAC in attendance.
that's dope. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Well,
Yeah.
I'm your host, Burton Newcomb. This is the River of Money podcast. And if y'all want to jump on a podcast, talk about your business, buying real estate, or whatever y'all want to do, y'all know how to hit me up. Find me on Instagram at Burton Newcomb. That's at BurtonNewcomb. And I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next.
Big dog, appreciate you. Until next time.
Absolutely, my man.
All right, brother.